Yeah, some people, they're really close. Yeah, that's pretty much what's going on there. Push through it. I was out in the car, I got here early because it takes me, usually when I leave, it takes me close to an hour to get to Huntington. Today it took me 30 minutes. I stayed.
Anyway,
Where do you stay in there?
with your friends.
With thankful hearts, we have come together this morning to celebrate the bounty of the day, to bask in the warmth of this community, to share with friends the tides of our lives, to entertain perennially our hopes for a better future. We join together this morning, as always, to resist injustice and inequality wherever they may be found. Our hearts are touched by the human need we feel around us, whether far away or within the reach of our hand. We come here to be together because this is how we believe our lives are best lived. in questioning and in conversation, in compassion and in service, in gratitude and in joy, in companionship and in love. It is good to be together with you this morning. And good morning, and welcome to all you brave souls who disregarded the weather forecast and got in here. I'm told there's plenty of coffee in the kitchen, so if we do get snowed in here, at least we'll have coffee. Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Huntington. I'm Jim Monnier. My pronouns are he and him, and I'll be your worship associate this morning with the help of Doretha Hirsch and some other members of the racial justice team. Our service today is Art as Resistance and Respite. And we welcome our guest speaker, Tiara Inez Brown, the new executive director and curator of the Huntington African American Museum. And we also have other members of the board here as well. So we welcome them. Thank you. A word about who we are. Unitarian Universalists are people of many beliefs, held together by a shared promise about how we will be with one another. We try to tell the truth with care, repair when we miss, and practice a love sturdy enough for real life. We're here to make community, not just attend it. You should have received a Moments of the Heart index card as you came in. Later in the service, you'll be invited to use it to share a joy or a sorrow. If you still need one, just raise your hand, and our pastoral care associate, Cindy Niebuhr, will make sure you get it. First, though, a few announcements. After the service, have we decided we're going to still do the video after the service or not? We're not sure. All right, so we're going to call an audible on that, but perhaps after the service, grab a cup of coffee and join us back here in the main hall for a video presented by the racial justice team. We'll just look out the window every now and then. The video is the top 10 living black painters who shook the art world. Bagels will be served, I'm told. And while we're waiting for the video, please take some time to explore the gallery. Our curator, Bill Hawkins, has a simple but powerful installment that features the poetry of Langston Hughes. Tomorrow is probably going to be canceled, but it still is the last Monday of the month, which means it would have been time for the Labyrinth Walk right here, but I'm pretty sure you will hear about that. Our fellowship auction gala will be held on Saturday, April 18th. The donation site is now open. You can donate your items until March 22nd. Do I hear a bid? And the online bidding will go live on April 5th. All the information you need to create or log into your account can be found in this week's flash. And on Sunday, March 1st, next Sunday, we're holding a congregational forum to help align religious education with the lives we're actually living now. The spirit of this exploration is stewardship and imagination, honoring what's stable and beloved, while also making room for new forms that fit today's rhythms. More details about that can also be found in this week's flash. So again, that's next Sunday after the service. I now invite Doretha Hirsch, our chair of our racial justice team, to come up and say some words for lighting of the chalice while I light it.
I was going to ask you if you were doing that. In Unitarian Universalist communities, we light a flaming chalice as a symbol of our shared search for truth and our shared commitment to one another. It's a small flame that draws us back to a shared center. We light the chalice in honor of the spark of life that dwells within each body present, recognizing the fullness of our shapes and sizes are countless as the stars in the infinite universe. Like this chalice, May each spark burn, fierce as our resistance to oppression, bright as our hopes for a better tomorrow, strong as the love that holds our bodies within the care of this beloved community.
Sister,
Thank you, Dylan and the choir. That was originally planned for a couple of services ago that got snowed out. So that's why we didn't call this one off. We said, no, not twice in a row. Tiara Inez Brown is the executive director of the Huntington African American Museum. Her career centers Black visual culture, diasporic identity, and the transnational histories of modern and contemporary art. Guided by a research-driven and community-informed approach, she's committed to amplifying narratives that are historically marginalized by traditional encyclopedic art museums and institutions, and reimagining the possibilities of cultural memory, heritage, and historical interpretation. So in lieu of a story for all ages, Tiara will give us an update on the museum with pictures, but before that, we're going to ask the youth and children of the group to go ahead in now. Anne's got a great exercise activity planned for you, and we don't want to cut into that time. So the children and the youth can go now. There's Anne in the back, waving them in. The second of many audibles we will call this morning. So with no further ado, let me introduce Tiara.
Is my mic fully? Okay. Good morning. Hi. How are you? Hello. Quick announcements for the museum. We're having a poetry night on Thursday if we all get to leave our houses again. On Main Street. You can find all of that information on our social media, which is Huntington_museum. You can also find us on the web at www.hafamuseum, HAFAMmuseum.org for anything else, joining our mailing list, all of those things. So we'll take a look. We're so excited to be able to show this to you. We have the first kind of concept designs of the museum, which is always very fun to talk about. But just to situate everyone in space, I'm told that this orange envelope is your pumpkin patch. Just so you understand, just so you understand how close we'll all be as a community. So we plan to kind of take over about a 1.65 acre space for the museum. It'll be this really beautiful jewel box. And on the next slide, we can see just what that kind of design might look like, right? So there's the pumpkin patch again. We'll be right by the harbor. Yeah, no, we're real close. We're going to be best friends. And we'll just kind of look over the harbor, you know where American Legion is, and we have this kind of really beautiful space planned out with a really nice green space for the community so we can all come together in a great thing. So the next slide, we'll see what that looks like up close. Yeah, I know, thank you. Yeah, this is a really fun and exciting project to go through. So we're really thinking of a kind of beautiful kind of double wide, 2 floors box space, this kind of really jeweled effect. We're by the harbor, and we want to make sure we have those kind of architectural notes. So you'll see those in the kind of iron slats like masts on the window display. So we have that really beautiful idea. And then the next slide of this, we'll show it to you at night. I know. This is what I'm saying. It's going to be a really beautiful kind of jewel box experience to hold the stories, the history, the culture, the art of African Americans in Huntington and beyond. So we are really excited to show it to you. And we'll show you the next slide here, where we show you that kind of terrace, this beautiful, beautiful terrace that'll sit about 15 or so feet in the air, get an immaculate view of the harbor. It wraps around the entire building, so if a water scene isn't exactly your idea, you also have a beautiful green space that we're building in the museum, which will have this really great kind of overview for things like events that you might want to hold, or really fantastic programs, workshops, and those things that we hold in the museum. So the next slide of this will show you the kind of interior space, a really kind of beautiful lobby full of the desk. There'll be the gift shop will be in this as well, in case you all really, really want something to take home with you. And then we'll show you the next slide of this, where we see this really beautiful kind of architectural stair, but a really fun design effect is that our logo is part of this really beautiful scrim covering. And so what that does will add a really beautiful texture into the museum and save everyone from the harshest of lights that come in through the east. So on the next slide of this, we'll show you just kind of a really quick overview. So at 18,000 square feet, this will be one of the largest full-scale African American history museums in the state. This is a very, thank you. Thank you very much. It's a really fun, really exciting project, and we'll have event space on the second floor as well. That'll be incredibly multi-purpose. We'll do special exhibitions. We'll do conversations, workshops, those kinds of things, artist talks, screenings, but it's also a rentable event space, so perfect for a wedding or a community gathering or whatever you might need. Next slide, we will see a little bit about the exhibit experience. So it's about 4,500 square feet that we're dealing with space. Sorry, this is cutting out. Okay. An exhibition space, and that will include an entire Huntington pavilion that'll be dedicated to the generations of people who have made incredible impact in Huntington, all African American, and that will also include the Crippen House. I know a bunch of people have been really afraid that due to the deconstruction, it's never coming back, and I am so pleased to be able to tell you that we will rebuild the Crippen House as a kind of period room, an immersive period room. You will be able to walk through this space again and really enjoy that kind of environment again, and we will have our historical artifacts coming from the excavations that we've done to the Crippen House, and that'll be back in the house as well. So you'll really be able to experience what life was like for African Americans at the turn of the 19th century, but also throughout the ages. You know, when we think about the lived experience of the Crippen House, we see people you see the Crippen descendants in that family in that home until 2001. And that means that they experienced both turns of the century and the Harlem Renaissance and both world wars and the civil rights movement, and we'll be able to kind of go through all of that over time through exhibitions in that space. We also have an incredibly fun African diasporic nexus on the next slide that we can look at here, where we'll really explore the very fun and immersive world of having enchanted objects that will move and tell a story with you. And so we can see that in action on the next slide, where we just kind of look at what that looks like, right? A complete encompassed environment where we can follow things like the ships that come into Huntington as a port town and everything that means, but also we'll go through things like the fact that Huntington is a stop on the Underground Railroad, and we'll look at all of those different kind of aspects that make Huntington and the African American culture of Huntington so incredibly profound and impactful. And then on the next slide here, we'll show you the bit of the family tree that we're thinking through. In the next slide, we'll talk about the next slide. Well, thank you. Bit of a cue situation here. The next slide, we'll talk about all of the great families in Huntington that was, of course, the Crippens will follow the family tree. But also, there are so many families that have spent their entire lives, multiple generations in Huntington, and we're going to explore those as well. And so there'll be a way to kind of look for your family tree and other family trees and in town and really follow that through and look at all the kind of beautiful lineage that we have right here in Huntington. So that'll be really exciting to see. And on the next slide, we're launching a oral history program that we will your help with. There are so many people who live in Huntington, African American families who have been here for generations, and we would love to be a part of preserving that story and being a part of helping people keep their lineages and their histories intact. And so we are always looking for stories of African Americans who have lived here over time, and you can always connect with us either on the website or through any of our emails to potentially present a candidate for oral history. We're always open to things like that. And it will be shown in these kind of echo wells. So there'll be a digital kind of structural space. This will be permanent in the exhibition, completely programmable, where you'll hear snippets of people's personal stories. The full oral histories will be available on the website with a transcription, but in person we'll have themed kind of snippets that you can hear and just learn a little bit more about someone's story who maybe you've never heard of, someone you don't know, but have an incredible history and impact in this town. So that's what those will look like. And on the next slide, it's just a kind of quick recap of the architectural experience, what you can look forward to. And then the slide after is, again, just a little recap of the exhibition experience. This is an important project. It's an incredibly ambitious project, and it needs, your help. We are fundraising for this building, of course, always, and you can find our donation information on the website at www.hafam.museum.org. I'm done. That's it. Thank you.
My name's Nikki Willard, and I'm a member of the Racial Justice team. And I chose a reading today, a poem by Amanda Gorman called At the Age of 18, Ode to Girls of Color. And I chose this because we're talking about resistance and respite, and I find in this poem joy and love of self as a colored person as a form of resistance. At the age of 5, I saw how we always pick the flower swelling with the most color. The color distinguishes it from the rest and tells us this flower should not be left behind. But this does not happen in the case of colored girls. Our color makes hands pull back, and we, left to grow alone, stretching our petals to a dry sun. At the age of 12, I blinked in the mystery of the color within myself, blinded by the knowledge that a young brown teen has the power to light Los Angeles all night, the radiance to heal all the scars left on this city's pavement. Why had this realization taken so long when color pulses in all that is beauty and painting and human? You see, long ago they told me that snakes and spiders have spots and vibrant bodies if they are poisonous. In other words, being of color meant danger, warning, do not touch. At the age of 18, I know my color is not warning, but a welcome. A girl of color is a lighthouse, an ultraviolet ray of power, potential, and promise. My color does not mean caution, it means courage. My dark does not mean danger, it means daring. My brown does not mean broken, it means bold backbone from working twice as hard to get half as far. Being a girl of color means I am key, path, and wonder all in one body. At the age of 18, I am experiencing how black and brown can glow. And glow I will, glow we will, vibrantly, colorfully, not as a warning, but as promise that we will set the sky alight with our magic.
At this time of our service, Moments of the Heart, you're invited to light a candle for something deep in your heart. Today's pastoral care associate, Cindy Niebuhr, will join us at the candles in the front and has a basket for cards for joys and concerns if you'd like them shared with the congregation. She also has blank cards and pens if you'd like to write something now, but keep it short. And please be mindful to share only your news, share with permission, or share without names. And as the music plays, I invite you to come forward or go to the candle table at the back, and let's do our best to maintain an atmosphere of quiet reflection while Dylan plays. Thank you. May the invitation of prayer and meditation embrace this holy house and each precious person, moving each and all to connect with a sense of affirmation, sound, movement, or silence, in whatever way your body knows to be true. Spirit of life and love, our hearts are overflowing with both lamentation and longing. Longing for a world with more hope and less despair. Longing for more happy hearts and fewer hungry mouths. Longing for a life of more connection and less isolation. Longing for a brave love, a growing seed within us spreading far and wide. Longing for a future of less consumption and more compassion. Longing for a government that quells hate and violence rather than generates it. Longing for a president that speaks truth. Longing for a nation that acknowledges its injustices and works to make them right. Longing for a present with each of us doing what is ours to resist racism and all forms of systemic oppression. Longing for companions to give us courage that we might be the people these times require to bring about beloved community. I'll now read some of the cards that were submitted. My heart is full with such love in being part of this congregation. Please pray for my friend who lost her 3.5-week-old godson to sudden infant death just this week. For friends who are working hard to find a way forward in this broken world. Thank you for all who stood up yesterday to protect our neighbors and say ICE out of Long Island. Final card is resistance is love, honor Black lives. In this circle of compassion, we hold those who have shared their joys and their concerns with us, for each shared joy is a form of nourishment for all of us. In this circle of care and compassion, we faithfully witness those who have shared their sorrows with us, for each shared sorrow touches our heart, and we accept the call to lighten the burden of a friend. I'd like to end with a moment of silence for the loss of a great leader, the Reverend Jesse Jackson, a U.S. presidential candidate, a champion of the civil rights movement, a seer and uplifter of the unseen. Please, if you can, rise and stand as you're able. And in these next few moments of shared stillness, let our hearts pray the prayers only they know until Dylan plays the beginning of Spirit of Life. The words will be on the screen.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'd first like to say this program was put together by Racial Justice Team to honor Black History Month. I guess the first time I started hearing about James Baldwin, I was maybe 13 years old. By 14, I managed to get a book from my cousin. I can't remember the name. It was a book of essays, and I started reading it. And whenever he would be on television, I'd love to watch him, especially if he was debating the conservatives. I thought it was just wonderful. James Baldwin, I would like to say, first of all, the artist is no other than he who unlearns what he's learned in order to know himself. E. Cummings wrote this wonderful forgotten meditation on what he called the agony of the artist. James Baldwin, no artist, whatever the case, has captured more the agony and the reward of unlearning more beautifully than James Baldwin. So I'm going to read this. This is a reading. It's taken from his book, The Cross of Redemption, Uncollected Writings. It was taken from a WBAI broadcast of a talk at the UU Community Church in New York City in 1962. He says, "I really don't like words like artists or integrity or courage or nobility. I have a kind of distrust for all of those words because I don't really know what they mean any more than I really know what such words as democracy or peace peace-loving or warlike or integration mean. And yet one is compelled to recognize that all of these imprecise words are attempts made by us to get to something that's real and which lies behind the words. Whether I like it or not, for example, or no matter what I call myself, I suppose the only word for me when the chips are down is that I am an artist." There is such a thing. There is such a thing as integrity. Some people are noble. There is such a thing as courage. The terrible thing is that the reality behind the words depends ultimately on what the human being, meaning every single one of us, believes to be real. The terrible thing is that the reality behind all of these words depends on choices one has got to make forever and ever and ever, every day.
The next part of our service is going to be a short conversation that Tiara and I will have about art as resistance and respite. But to set the stage, I'd like you to see a short video that features the thoughts of Toni Morrison on art and social justice. That will hopefully set the stage for our conversation. That's not supposed to play. It's supposed to play off the PA system. So let's see. Hey, Dad, we're not getting any sound. Pardon me? All right, play it now. Try it now. No. Dave, do we have the right speakers on? Well, as I said, we'd be calling many audibles today. Not sure what happened there, but that's, I guess, why we have closed captions. So. All right. Deb, could you stop it now, and we'll try to figure it out later? And let's begin.
Hi. It's a great clip, by the way. Essentially, she's sitting at this a panel on art and social justice, and she says that art has always been dangerous. You know, that when we create art, regardless of what it is, it has the potential to be read as political, right? And we see in tense geopolitical times, art, creative thinking, free thinking, this kind of out of the box, against the rules mentality that we find creatives often have, is the first thing that gets censored, that gets changed, that gets these real kind of strict limits and restrictions. And so in that way, expressing yourself through whatever your mode of art or creativity is has always been dangerous. We have always seen that. And the important part about that is to not be afraid of it. Do it anyway. The world needs your art, your creativity, regardless of how scary it is. It's always been, and we have always persevered. Do your art anyway.
Yeah, her closing comments on that video was that art is dangerous. Mm-hmm. Art is dangerous to the artist.
Yeah.
And so, why now, and why especially for Black artists?
Yeah, I think it's easy to single out the other, right? And for quite a long time, African American artists and African diasporic artists have seen that. You know, we've seen a resistance to our joy in that way. And so as we find ourselves yet again in another tense geopolitical time, art is more dangerous now than ever, right? So, especially important to keep doing it.
What are some of the forms that resistance both has taken and can take, specifically from Black artists in general, but especially Black artists in today's environment?
Yeah, I think the kind of great thing about art, whether it's writing or photography, music, film, fine art media, it can all be political. And I think we see that. I mean, even in some respects, you know, Hamilton is political. You know, Lin-Manuel Miranda can be seen as political and therefore a resistance. You know what I mean? So there are writers that we know, right? James Baldwin, Zora Neale Hurston, Bell Hooks, Ta-Nehisi Coates, right? We know that all of those works. Amanda Gorman, you know, people we've, you know, heard of today. That we've seen. Alan Locke, you know, started the entire Harlem Renaissance movement off of the New Negro, which he writes in 1924. We've seen this. I mean, even more contemporary, you know, Beyonce and Kendrick Lamar, right? That always we kind of sit in this space of creating, and by doing that, by being yourself, by being free, that is an act of resistance.
And just Super Bowl was what, 2 weeks ago, and just
how
freaked out people were over that, and the threats both to Bad Bunny as well as threats to people attending. So.
Right.
So who are some of the resistance that you look to and artists that you in your role want to highlight?
That's a great question. They're really phenomenal. I mean, Wengechi Mutu has done great work. Kara Walker has done great things in that regard. Titus Kaphar, incredible artist, actively kind of changing the art historical canon as we see it. And we're alive to see it, which is fantastic. The film later will show you a bunch of other artists, so I won't name them, but Titus is great at that. Fred Wilson is great at that. There's some great scholars as well, Bridget Cooks, Lowry Stokes Sims, who have talked about exhibiting Blackness and what that looks like. The list truly goes on and on, but there's so many great things if people wanted to get into bell hooks, you know, if people wanted to get into just experiencing Black art and everything that it is. There's so many different avenues for that.
So that's a little bit about resistance
Yeah.
and the role the artist can play. Talk about respite. Why and how is that so important? How is art utilized as a form of respite?
Yeah, I think in the ways that art is used as resistance, art can also be used as respite, right? In every way. You know, sometimes we need to take care of ourselves, right? Resistance and showing up to the fight is crucial, especially now. But you can't show up to every fight if you're not taking care of yourself first. And so Audre Lorde said, caring for myself is not self-indulgence, it's self-preservation. And that alone is an act of political warfare. You know, you can't do this every day, all the time. You need rest, you need to take, you know, a minute to ground yourself in it, just to be your best version of yourself. We've seen this before. We have lived through this before. We will live through it again. Take care of yourself. You know, it's just so integral.
So we can gain that respite both if we want to do art ourselves.
Yeah,
we don't
but
have to
also
have
being
much
around
talent,
it.
but draw, do something, as well as take in, whether it's reading or film or concerts or forms that bring community.
Absolutely.
So what are the forms that you think have been used most effectively to create respite for the community?
I think, I mean, as an art form, we've seen a lot of recent exhibitions kind of take that in. I think engaging in joy in that way. And then we've seen concerts like that. Bad Bunny is a great thing like that. Music events are great for things like that. Watch something that brings joy to you, by a Black artist. Bridgerton is Black media. That helps. It helps. That's Shonda Rhimes. That counts. You can take the time. Yeah.
So talk about your vision for the museum in terms of, art can also create community.
Yeah.
And so what are some of the ways that you see the museum playing that role in the Huntington community?
Absolutely. I think that our work is inherently activism, right? Uplifting stories, African American stories that have been neglected or forgotten or attempted to be erased. Yeah, I heard it. It's there. Our work is preserving that. That is inherently an act of resistance. And we'll do things like that. There was programming for Get Out the Vote. There was one for Know Your Rights. There was one for entrepreneurship. But there's also the Poetry Night event on Thursday, and the Juneteenth celebration that we're going to do 3 days of celebration. There is also an exhibition coming up May 8th in Northport that just will celebrate the life and legacy of Peter Criffman and everyone that he's been a part of and touched. And the museum is a space for that. The museum is a space for resistance, and that we are actively combating all those things. But once it's built, you can come and you can enjoy community with us. You can kind of take a breath from everything happening in the world in this space. And that's why it's so integral that we get it built and we get it done.
If we had more time, we would do a couple of Q&As, but knowing this audience, I'm not sure we want to go down that rabbit hole because we want to get out of here before the blizzard. But Tiara will be around. I invite you to chat with her after. I also noticed that we have Barry Lights, our executive director of the museum. Board chair. That's right.
Irene Moore is also our vice chair. She's lovely presently here.
We'll be hearing from Irene Moore, wearing two hats today. She's here, vice chair of the board, and she's also going to speak about the Huntington chapter of the NAACP, where she's she's chair of the Political Action Economic Development Committee. That's right. Sorry. All right. So thank you, Tiara. Thank you very much. Up next. And each month, we do share our offering with a local nonprofit whose values we share. This month, as every February, we'll share with the Huntington branch of the NAACP. And today, as I just mentioned, we're fortunate to have Irene Moore, who'll tell us about the NAACP's work in the community. Irene is the vice chair of the Huntington African American Museum as well, and the chair of the Huntington Branch Economic Development Committee. Irene, please come on up.
Good morning. I will be brief. To the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Huntington and the Social Justice Committee, thank you for allowing me to bring greetings to you on behalf of our President, Ruth Ann Cooley, and the NAACP Huntington branch. Thank you also for dedicating the February Split the Plate charity to the Huntington branch. The funds will be used to support the branch incentive awards given to prospective high school student graduates who plan to continue their education. More than 100 students from the town of Huntington have benefited from the program since its inception. These students are now enrolled in colleges and universities throughout the United States. Many have graduated and are now invaluable members of the larger society. Again, thank you and the Social Justice Committee for your continued support. We look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you.
And while the choir sings, the ushers will pass the baskets around for the offering. Thank you. To be a Unitarian Universalist means we'll never be done with the work of telling the truth about oppression, the work of resisting any laws, policies, or practices that deny anyone their humanity, the work of stubbornly seeking out the spark of the divine in each other, no matter what the work of creating heaven on earth. To be a Unitarian Universalist also means we're not alone in the work. We're not alone because of our promises to love one another, and we're not alone because we are companions on the journey. We grow ourselves into allies, helping one another get free, because none of us is truly free until we are all free. Steve?
Spirit of life, help us to be present with all that is our life, both our deepest sorrows and our greatest joys, so that we can truly live, engaging fully in our life and in our community. Spirit of community, help us know how linked we are, how each of us, our cares touches us all. Help us to ask for support when we are in need and to offer support to others when we are able, so that we may rest in the solace of one another's love. Spirit of love, and help us to love our neighbor as we love ourselves, so that we might fully embody love and resist hatred. Spirit of resistance, help us to stick up for what is right, even when we are tired or afraid. Help us to dream of the world as it should be and act to bring that world about. Help us to find hope each day. Spirit of hope, help us through this day and each day. Help us to be present for all that is our life. For all this we pray. Amen, and blessed be.
So it's not every non-minister Sunday that we get the choir. So we're going to have them sing 3 times today. But before as they come up, I want to also thank Tracy, our drummer. Thank you so much. And on this one, we really want to invite everybody to sing along with the chorus on this one. The words will be on the screen. While, yes, it was written in 1942 by a white man, Woody Guthrie, where it's performing based on the arrangement by Rhiannon Giddens and the Resistance Choir. So please feel free to join in. One more time. We will figure the sound out for the video that we're going to show in a little while. There are bagels available in the social hall. And please get home safe and lift with your legs, not your back.